for people that may not know, but I know, I am Dr. Sheika Square, and I help people get out of the major work that I do is I help people get out of their own way so that they can have the life, the money, the businesses that they desire. Um, I help people have higher order thoughts. Some people don't like it. I've had people, be like, "Whoa, this is too much," and not necessarily clients, more so my personal life because it's what I do. It's a big part of who I am. So I help people grow their businesses. If you hear the list and you're not familiar, I have Invisalign. No plug because they haven't put me on affiliate marketing yet, but I do, and it causes a list sometimes. But I help people become their highest version. Notice I say help. I help them become their highest version of themselves. And one of the other things that I do is I am the CEO of a business tax firm. And so the reason I'm saying all of that, aside from the fact that a lot of people like to hear it, aside from the fact that people enjoy hearing that, and I can understand because you're like, who is this lady always talking about money? How do I know? How do I know? So I am also the CEO of a business tax firm. So I want to give you a little bit of background on the business tax firm that I am the CEO of. I went to school for business and administration. I have my PhD, actually. I was being modest. Is in business and administration. I have had certifications in finances. I was really good. If you check out my website, we wrote on my About Me page my background in numbers and money, and I've been really good at numbers since I was in middle school. Well, I knew I probably was good at them from birth. I'm just saying. But I knew I was really good since about middle school, and I've taken all kind of math and science classes, gotten all kind of certifications. I have my PhD in business and administration. What's my point? So I've been working with numbers with my clients for many, many years. Even when I worked in corporate America, a lot of my work was to manage books and start departments. Because inside of a business, you're not necessarily starting a business. But I would start new departments and start new programs, right? And so when I moved into entrepreneurship, a few years after becoming an entrepreneur, I noticed I was helping a lot of my clients with their books, not sitting down doing them, but making sure their stuff was tight, giving them tips on finances, even though I was helping them build their business, but giving them tips on how to prepare their finances. So I was approached in, I think, 18 or 19 to partner with someone on a tax company. They went from working out of their house before we partnered to we had right before the pandemic 3 or 4 locations. So this is what I do. And it's fun for me. It's fun for me to take things from a concept or an idea and grow it very quickly and very efficiently. So we went from the person who approached me for the partnership working out of their home to about 3 or 4 locations right before the pandemic. Ton of employees, a lot of work, a ton of work. And I think the person who was working out at home was like, well, I didn't think you was really going to be able to do it. And so it became Square Tax Group, if you catch my drift. So we had all these, then it became me. I was the CEO, full owner of the company. And what I decided to do was translate or model the company from a tax company to a business tax firm. So we focus on business, we focus on business taxes. One, because I have a lot of business clients. I come across a lot of small businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, and it made sense. And so we focus on business taxes. what's the point again? So I want to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing as we are in this season, as you will always be in this season as you're making money, even if you get a certified accountant to handle your books because you make a ton of money or you just don't want to do it. Some of the things, I had a client meeting on last Thursday where she owes the IRS a pretty penny. She didn't come to me to do her taxes. We had just started working together. This was one of her first meetings. And I apologize for the lighting. It's terrible. And so if you hear that, that's the curtain. So she was telling me how much she owed, and I was explaining to her some tax write-offs. So that is why I gave you this backstory. So something that people don't realize, even if you, let's say you didn't consider it until after you got your taxes prepared in the following year, that there were plenty of write-offs that you could have done in your calendar year. There are still write-offs. This is about, we want to make sure that we take advantage of the money that we have. There are still write-offs that you can use or go after in the year. And what I mean by that, if your 2021 taxes, we're out of 2021 and we're in 2022, but you haven't filed your taxes yet, you could still do certain things up until a certain date to get certain tax benefits. So I'm talking in generalities because it depends on when you're listening to this. So one thing that a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, don't take advantage of are Roth IRAs and IRAs. I personally like Roth IRAs because you know what you're going to get whenever you retire. And if you are not in the membership and you are listening to this and learning about investments, this is one of the books we talk about, Susie Orman, The Road to Wealth. Inside of the membership, if you know me, then you know Susie Orman is like my financial guru mentor in my head. Like, we've met a billion times in my head. She's absolutely awesome. But this really helps outline a lot of things that you can do if you are a beginning investor. And how to set up your IRA. Don't just let the company set it up and you leave it alone. And that's good because I'm gonna go into detail into that in the membership. But you can set up, let's say you've missed that calendar year write-offs. Some things you can still do is set up a Roth IRA or IRA and max it out. That's not going to reduce your liability to the IRS dollar for dollar, but it is going to reduce it significantly where you can keep some of the money that you would have had to pay them in taxes. It's cool to owe the IRS because that means you made a lot of money. It's cool. We love it. We can take our taxes and they almost act as a bank statement and go to banks and get loans when we owe the IRS. For some reason, they don't care if you have debt to the IRS, but they care if you have debt to the other people. So even if you owe the IRS all kind of money, they never ask questions about it. They never say, "Oh, Lord, how you gonna pay the IRS?" You can still get it. But if we can reduce that liability and still show that income. So that's the good thing about investing in these types of vehicles and they be write-offs, is that once you invest, you max it out because now you owe, let's say you owe the IRS $60,000 at the end of the year. I don't know who did you say. Well, like you should have been considering that before. But if you made, $600,000 to $700,000 and you only owe 60, kudos. But you can still get that down and still show income on your taxes. And sometimes people don't make that much and owe 60,000. Those are the people that I'm talking to right now, because if you made 600,000 or 700,000, you don't qualify for a Roth IRA. You qualify for a regular IRA, but you can max it out and you would then get a statement that would reduce your tax liability to the IRS, and the money is still technically yours. It's not like you spent it. So some things like expenses, people are afraid of expenses because they're like, well, I'm not going to be able to show income. I'm not going to be able to show income on my taxes. But in a Roth IRA and many other savings vehicles and investment vehicles, it still shows that the money is yours and you get a tax write-off for it. And a lot of people don't like talking about it. Another vehicle that allows you to show income and get a tax write-off is to be able to open similar investment types for your kids. And we love talking about the grandiosity of having a ton of money, but we don't like talking a lot about how this is the difference between rich people with no money and wealthy people. Wealthy people understand all of the vehicles that allow them to owe less and keep more. Like I was listening to Grant Cardone, and one year he owed a ton of money to the IRS, so he went and bought a jet. Not like the magazine, but like a flying aircraft in order to reduce his tax liability. And so we have to learn more of that because we can pay the IRS or we can learn to keep it. So another a college savings account. So there's a few. There's the UGMA. You're going to have to look these up. I'm not breaking these down for you because it depends on what you want. But for your kids, there's an UGMA. I'm not a big fan of UGMAs. Some people are. But there's also the list is terrible. College savings accounts that you can still maintain control or custodial over. And they also, when I tell you I love college savings accounts, especially in Louisiana, because then they do matches, they give you a bonus on the money that you invested at the end of the year. They do all kind of stuff, and you can put thousands of dollars in there and get a tax write-off, and then that's less money that you owe to the IRS. And so those are two major, are wonderful things that don't get discussed that often, that allow you to reduce your tax liability. And then they also allow you to show income when you're trying to purchase something with your taxes. And what I mean by that, if you're trying to purchase residential or commercial property or something, it's money that you reduced your income, which reduces your tax liability, but you can still show that that income is still present. It's this wonderful cycle, and get benefits and earn interest and get bonuses and you're making all kind of residual income on money that you still have that also reduces your tax liability, and you get a tax benefit and the wonders of it. So in this season, we're not only learning how to make money, but we want to learn how to keep money and then make money off the money that we keep and lower our tax liability. Like, you must learn all of those things in order to maximize your income and go from having money and then not having money to having money and always having money. That should be the model. Always having money. I will always have. And these are some of the tricks and trades, and they're not illegal. That's the thing. They're super legal. You just have to learn about them. For you to do in order for you to maximize your dollar and maximize your income. And so, like I said, inside of the membership group, now this book can be a bit scary because it is this thick. It is very thick. However, it's more of a guide. It's not a book. You don't read it page for page. But this one really allows you to break down what types of assets and investments you should be looking into as a novice investor, based on even the information that we just discussed. So make sure that when you get these huge tax bills, you look into how you can reduce them legally but still show income on your taxes. Like, we gotta increase our knowledge about how to use those tax documents, because they can literally open doors that just having cash on hand can't open. I mean, even though cash is king, you got to be able to show legally that the cash was there. So,